Hello, it's Friday, July 22nd, 2016, and as of this recording, I'm still depressed, but I'm not dead.
The following entry is based on actual events of my life.
Hey, welcome back everybody. I am here for the second time this week. I know you're all thrilled and excited. I'm going to have a little bit different kind of a show today. I guess not entirely. It's still mostly about me, but I'm going to be talking about music and one song specifically. I'm going to give you a little introduction into how I came across the music and the artist a little bit. I have a song to play for you at the end, and it's a little bit different for me, but I hope you guys enjoy it. So it is a song that is important to me, and I really want to share it with you guys. As always, I just want to get through the little housekeeping where I can be reached and all that. Email jamoalki@gmail.com, on Twitter @jamoalki, Facebook, facebook.com/jamoalki. What else? Oh, the website. Yeah, that too. jamoalki.info. That's JAMOALKI. And get a hold of me, not specifically about this show, but this show. Let me know what you think, if you gave a listen to anything else that I mentioned. Just send me an email. I really love hearing from you guys. I do have 3 emails I need to get back to, and I will do that this weekend, I promise. And a new shout out to my friend Debs, who someone I met in that Sick Not Weak chat room. We've had a kind of a back and forth on Twitter, and she is the lucky recipient of some homemade snacks of some kind. I initially promised brownies, and I think I can pull that off. So, that's about it for that. Let's get into the show.
So for all who's wondering, yes, this really happened.
Okay, so let's go back maybe 4 or 5 years ago. There's you'll find me. It's my story, so we'll talk about me. I'm in my late 30s. I am chronically and seriously, severely depressed, although I wasn't really acknowledging it, and maybe more specifically, I didn't really understand what was going on with me. It had been, 5 years since I initially had been diagnosed as having major depressive disorder, and things had improved from that point. At that point, 10 years ago now, 11 years ago now, things were really stressful in the home life. My first marriage was essentially dead, but in my mind falling apart, and I wasn't really on the same page as my wife, and I was just really emotional. I didn't know how to deal with that. So I went then, diagnosed, therapy for a while, and at that point I was just a big emotional wrecked ball, right? Crying and everything. And so those days went away. And I think in my head I was thinking, oh, well, I'm not depressed anymore. I am better. I am well. Looking back at it now, while I, specific memories are few and far between, I was just not understanding what was going on. I didn't understand depression. I didn't understand the feelings I was feeling, the way I was thinking. I was still depressed. And, looking back, maybe years and years and years and years before that. But that's not what this show's about. So 4 or 5 years ago, I'm still depressed. So at that time, I was, living with all my girls and my then still current wife, now ex-wife. I was really in the long drawn out processes of withdrawing from my friends. Just, I only had a couple at a time. But I, withdraw and not communicate very often, very short when I did, canceling on plans, saying I was sick, that kind of stuff. I was working then. I was working full time then. And, I was realizing that I was really struggling with a way to specifically communicate with others and in a way to, socially communicate. I guess at work it was, hey, okay, I need this done, do it for me. Oh, you need that done, boss. Okay, I'll do that for you. That kind of stuff. Okay. But as far as, in the break room, on breaks, on lunches, on, hey, we're going out here afterwards, or hey, you're a cool guy. You want to go to the movies with us? A group of us are going. And I just never, it wasn't something that was in me. And I didn't know why. I acknowledged that I was different, I guess, but I just never felt comfortable. And, it seemed like every time I talked to someone, in more social situations, I guess we're calling the break room social, right? We're at work, but we're not necessarily talking about work things. It never really felt like anybody was on the same page as me. It never felt like I could get my opinions across, my thoughts across. And people would say things, and in my head, it didn't sound right. It sounded wrong. It didn't make sense to me, what they were saying about, whatever, opinions on blah, 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 philosophical, maybe not philosophical, but political or pseudo-political or whatever. I just couldn't get on board with conversations about anything like that, and as the weeks and months went by, I just found myself now looking back, then I didn't really see it as much, but just getting more and more angry and frustrated. I didn't lash out at people. I don't think anybody would know it, but I found myself just felt like a big bundle of undirected energy and frustration. So there I was, 30-something pasty white boy, and I found that I really enjoyed listening to the anger in the voice of one Marshall Mathers, also known as Eminem. And it was a lot of his stuff is stuff that I don't agree with at all, and it's just way beyond me. I didn't really identify with much about what he would go on singing about, but there was something in his voice that just sounded. There was an anger in his voice, but at the same time, not, right? It's a weird, I don't know if anybody out there has really spent much time listening to him, but I think that's what it sounds to me. Like he's got decided anger, but at the same time, in kind of like, I don't know, almost playful way. It's strange. But so, when I was home alone or, whatever, I'd, turn on Pandora, and I had an Eminem radio station, and I would put it on and bring my Bluetooth speaker into the bathroom with me and take long, long showers and just kind of listen to Eminem and the things that came along with that, so Dr. Dre and D12 and, some other stuff. And there were plenty of, I had my 5 skips to use, and I found myself using them up usually pretty quickly. With other artists who didn't have that same sound to, I guess, just their voice. So I would skip them and hope to get to the next Eminem song. So one day, whatever song had finished playing, and a new song came on, something I hadn't heard before. And, it's the Eminem station, and it's clearly rap, but it had a different kind of sound to the beat, to the instruments that you would hear. And folks, I am not musically inclined whatsoever, so anything I say previous to this or going forward may be completely the wrong words to be used to explain what was going on. But the song came on, and it sounded like a little fun beat to me, I guess. I don't know. And it goes on, and the rapper starts talking, and he introduces himself as Greydon Square, and he's part of the Rational Response Squad. And I'm like, okay, dude, sure. I don't know what that's all about, but all right, I'll give a little listen. And the song goes on, and he starts talking about he's an atheist spokesman, and the song includes micro versus macro evolution, carbon dating versus potassium argon dating, Pascal's wager, flying spaghetti monster, and crazy, right? I mean, you're sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, he's gone off the deep end here. What the heck is he talking about? but all these things were just like clicking with me, and I'm hearing these words, and I'm not very good at picking up the lyrics of a song word for word on first listen, second listen, right? So, I'm trying to follow along to the song, and I'm kind of stunned that I'm hearing these things, these kind of scientific, ideas and words, and atheism and skepticism, and oh my gosh, this is my song. This is amazing, right? Oh my gosh, I gotta find out more about this. And I looked him up, and sure enough, he's a really outspoken atheist, kind of borderline anti-religion. But he's a skeptic, so he has that kind of skeptic thinking and questioning and trying to get to the real bottom truth of the stories. He's former military, which is not something I can relate to, but again, I'm just kind of building his painting a picture. He was a group home kid in Compton, California. Grew up, got out of high school, went and joined the military, fought overseas after 9/11. Came back, and I think he like a GI Bill kind of thing. So he went and he studied physics and moved on to computer science. Just seemed like a really interesting kind of guy, and tie that in with this song. This A Rational Response was the name of that first song, and I was like, wow, this is great. I gotta look into it more. So I bought an album on Google Play, and I listened to it, and I'm trying to get the vibe from him. And there's a considerable amount of songs about questioning religion, questioning anything really, but and kind of angry, but not like, hey, you flip and flip, you really suck. It was, hey, here's these sets of questions. Here's, wow, hey, what about this stuff? And it was very interesting to me. Some time goes by, and I bought another. Still an angry guy for myself, I was. And like I said, many of his songs have that kind of, fight feel to it, right? But not fist fights, not gang banging, not, that kind of thug lifestyle that it seems like so much rap is about. And here I am, I'm an old white guy now, right? That's music these kids listen to these days. But, it's all about kind of intellectual fighting, and thinking and provoking thoughts and trying to educate people. It was cool. It was something I was kind of drawn to it. And then through some confluence of events, I started exercising, thought that would be good for me. And then I started running from there after I lost some weight. And so I had this exercise playlist that I would listen to when I was at the gym, lifting weights and that kind of stuff. And it was mostly the really angry stuff, Eminem, 9 Inch Nails, all that kind of stuff. But those songs really didn't serve me very well while I was running, right? I don't get a lot of enjoyment out of music anymore. Songs get old really quickly to me. It seems like so much, what's on the radio, even the stuff I would listen to when I was younger, some of them are meaningless, but a lot of them just seem like they don't apply to me. And I don't know how to use that. And I don't dance, so I don't get that enjoyment out of songs. So it's really kind of the lyrics for me if I'm going to listen to a song. So I kind of ran into that problem a lot when I was running, right? Because I would have a running playlist, and it was, maybe great, on Monday when I went to run, but Wednesday when I would go to run, it was not doing it for me. So I switched all my running playlists over to Greydon Square, and oh my gosh, it was just fantastic for me, right? 30 to 60 minutes of kind of running to, listening to music that, each song seems to have a different sound to it, lyrics that really made me think. Lyrics, things he was saying that kind of, it was weird to hear someone else use words to expressing my views on a lot of things, and views that I wasn't really comfortable sharing. I am an atheist. I have been for a long time, and, but that's not something that I would talk about with other people because it never felt comfortable and never, whatever, all those things. And then like the skeptical thinking, the really kind of, hey, okay, here's this story that is going around. What can we really parse out of that and say, okay, yes, this is true. This has some facts behind it. This is, whatever. And I found that hard to find in my daily interactions. Talking from my kids to coworkers to my mom and dad, and it's not something that I found, and something else that made it hard for me to interact, I think. So I would listen, and 4 times a week, 5 times a week, when I whatever, on my own with headphones on. I ran in the evening, so it was darker out, and it was just felt like, okay, there's just me and this guy, and he's telling me these stories, and it didn't get old, because every time a line would come up that I heard a million times, it still made me think. It made me kind of wonder about myself growing up as Catholic, or whatever, growing up and just trying to make sense of the world. And so I know some of you are thinking, oh, well, hey, what's going on? This podcast I listened to, they're talking about it. Maybe I should check it out. He's not for everyone. And I also get that some of you probably turned your nose up already with, the atheism word and things like that. And I get that. And honestly, all of his stuff isn't for me either. Marijuana comes up in more than a couple songs, and I've got no interest in that. Sometimes it's just like a line in a song, but there are a few songs that are kind of specifically about that. And if I put on kind of the Greydon Square discography while I'm cutting the grass, if one of those songs come up, fine, I won't skip through it. But when I make playlists to run, and I have several of them. I've got, just a run. I've got a short run. I got one that I made specifically for my half marathon. I've got a 2-mile run. I've got, all kinds of different ones that are all Greydon Square. But, when I create a playlist, none of those songs kind of go on there. So, I'm not saying, hey, run out and go get his music, right? I'm not saying anything like that. And I apologize if this is coming across as like a Greydon Square commercial, but I just want to share this specific song with you. It's a song he wrote back in, early 2000s. It's called Dear Journal, and I think it reflects a lot of the kind of feelings and thoughts that can go on with someone when they are suffering from depression, which leads them to be angry. With their depression moves them to being suicidal. It's a song that I've listened to since 2011, but it's only been recently that it's really kind of hit me as, hey, this is a really good story. This is a really good representation of what I think, for myself, what I felt, and so from that, I have to extrapolate that other people, probably have felt the same way. And it's just an artistic representation of that. It's him as so it's set in the way of him writing in his journal, talking to his journal, really. So he's, a 16-year-old kid bullied in school. He's suicidal. He's angry. He finds a gun, all that. And even though it's not specifically, stated and laid out in the song, obviously he didn't do it. He's still here making songs, putting stuff out. But the way it finishes up with a kind of a bit of hope, and kind of a plea to people to reach out to other people who are struggling, other people who have problems. And I'm kind of co-opting that to say, hey, help those with mental illness. So, maybe that's not his intention, to, that it's bent towards mental illness. Whatever, it's art, so we interpret it how we want. But it moves me as a song now. It's the only really slower song that he has that makes it to all my playlists now, because it really gives, again, like everything else, it gives me quite a bit to think about, and it's just moving to me. And so I reached out to him a couple weeks ago on Facebook, and I said, hey, here's my deal. I got this little tiny podcast about depression, and I really like what's going on in this song. Do you think I could use that on my podcast? And hey, he gave me permission. So bonus for you guys. I'm gonna play the song for you. Just a little bit. It's gonna be my outro song. He did ask that I just cite the song well. So it is, the name of the song is Dear Journal. It's from The Compton Effect is the name of the album from 2007. I swear I'm not pimping his stuff. I'm just sharing some information in a song that I think is really kind of moving and powerful. Along with this blog post, I'll put some links to where you can find his music and, maybe his website. So for those of you who want to find out a little bit more, you can. I get it. Maybe halfway through the song, you say, oh, this sucks. Maybe a half hour ago, maybe 15 minutes ago, you said, oh, this is all silly stuff, and you stopped listening. But, big disclaimer, if you go and explore some of his music and listen to some of his music, some folks, not me, but some folks could find the words he uses offensive at times. And specifically in this mental health forum, you may come across some stuff that could be triggering. This song that I'm going to play, Dear Journal, could be triggering as well, as it does have themes of suicide and gun violence. So, be an adult. If you're not an adult listening to my show, ask your mom and dad. But, be a grown up, be mature, make good choices, and listen at your own risk. That sounds terrible, but, just make good choices. Hopefully you guys like the song. Hopefully, I guess you don't have to like it, but maybe the words will mean a little bit something to you. And that's it. I've babbled my way through quite a bit here. So, everybody, thanks for listening. I appreciate you all so very much. Be safe and be well.
The following entry is based on actual events of my life. So, for all who's wondering, yes, this really happened. Dear Journal, I don't even know what to write. Today was just another really bad day in my life. I feel like crying, but honestly, I done run out of tears. So many things have happened to me, I done run out of fears. Damn, it's hard being 16, knowing it's just me. I'm convinced that everyone in this world is against me. Why don't these people just stop bothering me? Would they stop if I swallowed a bottle of Tylenol 3? Cause honestly, I'm seriously thinking about it. Hell, everywhere I go, I find me thinking about it. Damn, Journal, why is this the only option I have other than going back to school and getting bullied in class? Please help me. You are the only friend that I have other than the imaginary ones I've had in my past. You know what? It's probably better to die. I'll write to you tomorrow and let you know what I decide. Dear Journal, why do things have to be this way? The second feeling this way, I wanna leave this place. Please, Journal, make these people go away. Well, look how I'm on it and get blown away. Why, Journal? Why me? Why does it have to be me instead of being someone else's child? Why, Journal? Do you not answer my thoughts? I guess I just deserve to die. Dear Journal, guess what? I got some really good news. I was walking through a park and found a gun after school. Man, I'm excited. I don't even know what to do. Should I use it on myself or should I take it to school? Man, this is cool. You should see the barrel and trigger. Better yet, Journal, you should taste the barrel and trigger. I know I did, in fact. Soon as I got to my house, I ran straight in the bathroom and stuck it dead in my mouth. Pulled the hammer back, getting ready to squeeze, laughing and crying at the same time on my knees. But something told me no, please don't go. And while I was hesitating, someone knocked on the door. I got scared, took the gun out my mouth, put it back in my pocket, grabbed my backpack and got out. Smiling cause I know next time I'll be better about it. Heading back to my room so I can tell you about it. Dear Journal, why do things have to be this way? The second feeling this way, I wanna leave this place. Please, Journal, make these people go away. Well, look how I'm on it and get blown away. Why, Journal? Why me? Why does it have to be me instead of being someone else's child? Why, Journal? Do you not answer my thoughts? I guess I just deserve to die. Yeah. The only thing we ever needed was for somebody to love us. Pay attention to these kids. Some of them need help. Help them.